Well, in this slide, we're going to take a look at some seismic data recorded over the Northern Bowen Basin coal mine before and after spectral shaping. On the left-hand side, you see the data before spectral shaping. On the right, we see the data after spectral shaping. Visually, we can see a dramatic improvement in the number of reflectors, the detail associated with the faults, and certainly with the coal mining operation, they're eventually going to go down, and they have extracted the information at this and can validate the additional structural and stratigraphic detail provided by the spectral shaping. Now, if we look in the lower left-hand corner at the wavelet spectra, we can see the wavelet spectra before in blue and after spectral shaping in red. Note the peak frequency of the data initially is around 100 hertz. Afterwards, we can see this increased by about 140 hertz to about 275. The bandwidth, we're also seeing an increase of close to 70 hertz in the data set. Now, what I want to draw your attention to now is the data spectral displays on the right-hand side here. In the dark blue, we see the spectral distribution of the well-log generated reflectivity. We can see the spectral distribution of the frequencies in the seismic data before spectral shaping. And in red here, we can see the spectral distribution of the frequencies in the seismic data after spectral shaping. Now, in this particular case, we can see that the distribution of the data before does not look similar to the well-log reflectivity. So we're not looking for an absolute perfect match, but what we're looking for is generally trends within the data set. So clearly the trend in the well-log generated reflectivity shows more emphasis on the higher frequencies than the lower frequencies. So this would be your classic non-white reflectivity, and sometimes described as a blue reflectivity, with more emphasis on the higher frequencies in terms of spectral distribution. Now, clearly the data before does not match the well-log reflectivity distribution of frequencies as well as it does after. So you'd like to think that the spectral shaping has provided a better representation of the reflectivity in our particular Earth model. Okay, so this is quite important, and it's some algorithms you'll see impose the trend from the wells on the data. This particular algorithm has recovered this trend naturally. Now, with the advent of broadband data, we see a lot more emphasis on the lower frequencies, both in marine and onshore data sets. Now, this is really important, but what's an observation in this particular example, our low frequencies below maybe 30 hertz in here are close to 20 dB down from our peak frequency. Now, if we took the case of more data with perhaps not so much bandwidth, and perhaps looked at a peak frequency here of, well, let's say 100, we see that it's still down at least 5 dB down from this section. So a lot of the data we get, we see broadband data, but there seems to be too much emphasis placed on the low frequencies with respect to other frequencies in the spectrum. Consequently, our displays of some of the broadband data aren't that visually impressive because they look like they're picking up just more low frequency data. So it's really important in your project area to understand the spectral distribution of the energies of the Earth model and see if we can get something close to it through our spectral shaping of our data set. This has consequences, of course, for when we're trying to do an inversion. The distribution of spectral energy on our input data for inversion is usually if it's similar to the log-generated reflectivity distribution, so much the better. So what I'd encourage you to do is take a look at the well logs in your area and generate the log-generated reflectivity, and take a look at any of the spectral enhancement techniques you're using, whether it's a spectral recovery or data modeling. Does that help you get closer to the well log generated reflectivity spectral response.